computer in a plastic bag with the kind of the warning tag, like you said, right that you bought it.
Sorry, which one is which series?
So this is the Lenovo ThinkPad T420, and then the Dell Latitude E6420. So they're the direct competitor to the EliteBook 8460p, which we have right now.
It should be noted that the Dell unit does ship with the battery already installed.
Lenovo doesn't. Koa label is underneath the battery on the Lenovo.
Yeah. So that's the same approach that we take on those.
Okay. To get the optical drive out, there is an eject mechanism. As you pull, the drive does come out. Hard drive is removed with 4 screws from the bottom. 2 of these screws also basically help hold this access door down.
And that's one of the differences that you're going to see with HP versus some of the other guys out there. Like the approach that we take with our desktops on tool-free access, we want our customers to have a similar experience with the notebooks. It's really tough to do, and we do it. So we have tool-free access on the HP notebook. You'll see a lot of stickers on here. This one's actually pre-production. But you have that single latch to get the door off, and then you have access to all of your critical system components. You've got wireless here, Bluetooth there, your system memory, your CPU's over here, hard drives here, wireless is over here. Actually, I don't know what this dollar card is. I gotta get what that is. That's modem. Okay, there you go. Excellent. And then optical drive right here. 1 screw to eject the optical drive. So very easy access. The hard drive sits under a little door here. We do have a metal cage that the hard drive sits in, and it mounts directly to the chassis, so that helps kind of distribute some of the load if you drop it or something like that. The transmissibility is less on this hard drive than in some other designs. So that's kind of the main philosophy that we took on the design of how we place our components and how to get to them.
Lenovo unit, sorry, the battery is toolless. There's a latch on the battery, slide it, remove. Also, the optical drive has a locking latch. Unlock, slide and hold the release latch, remove the optical drive. Those are the only 2 toolless items on the Lenovo.
It should be noted too that the hard drive, our hard drive takes 3 screws to mount. This takes 4 to lock in the system.
Hard drive on the Lenovo, there was 1 captive screw on the bezel. Loosen the screw. Remove the bezel. And then the hard drive has a Mylar or plastic tab. Release that tab, slide the hard drive out of the hard drive bay. And there are 2 rubber brackets on either side, or isolators that reduce vibration. And then the tab fits on a bracket that is attached to the hard drive with 4 screws. So there's your 2 brackets in your hard drive.
It also should be noted too that the Dell unit, the 4 screws that hold this hard drive in are not captured. So if the customer does take this hard drive out and uses a screw, on the HP system, all screws are captured in the bracket that holds the hard drive down.
And like we had mentioned before, you have a single screw. It's a captured screw to eject the optical drive. So optical comes out with 1 screw. Then we have our smart card reader that sits on top, just a little hinge design there to get to the 3 screws that hold the hard drive in. So hard drive comes out.
Bottom of the Lenovo unit, there is 1 user access compartment. It has a captive screw, and this screw is a quite long screw for what you normally see on a user compartment cover, but this screw also doubles as a keyboard retention screw. You see the length of that screw, but that screw does go through and help to captivate the keyboard, like I said. And then within this compartment is your expansion memory module slot. The memory module that comes shipped from the factory is underneath the keyboard. This would be your expansion slot. And then this would be your wireless wide area network module. This one's not populated, and it has 2 antenna cables. One thing I know that HP does is these antenna cables are marked as to which cable goes to the main terminal and which one goes to the auxiliary terminal. These cables aren't marked, so I think you may experience degraded performance. With the wireless wide area network card, you're also going to have a SIM module to secure that. That SIM slot is in the battery bay. There's a tab right here that protects it. I'm just going to leave that in since this one's not populated. Those are the only 2 user-accessible components within this compartment.
All right, it takes 7 screws to get the bottom case off the Dell unit. And when you take those 7 screws out, everything's exposed. You've got memory here, thermal solution, wireless is in this area. I believe that's everything that the user would get access to.
So pretty clear, you know, we've got tool free to get you here. We have a couple of doors coming off, and not access to everything yet over here. And then over there, we have access to everything like the HP, but requires 7 screws.
Okay, the next component off of Lenovo will be the keyboard. In addition to that captive screw that we had on the memory wireless cover, we're going to have another screw located right here, and there is a keyboard icon pointing to that screw. Again, it's a fairly long screw. Once that screw is removed, I'm going to turn the unit right side up. I'm going to open the unit. And I'm going to slide. I'm not used to doing it from this angle, so forgive me. Slide the keyboard back towards the top of the display until the notches on the front of the keyboard release, and then remove it. Then I'm going to have a ribbon cable on the bottom of the keyboard, and that's just a flat surface connector that goes to the system board. And there's my keyboard. It includes my pointing stick, my touchpad buttons, and my volume controls, and my power button. So that would be our keyboard.
All right, to remove the keyboard on the Dell unit, this is actually a separate bezel that surrounds that keyboard. It snaps in from the top side, and you basically got to start unsnapping it from through the battery bay. So give me a few moments to get this out.
One thing to note on the Lenovo, by pulling the keyboard off, you get access to some additional components. So right there, is that wireless there?
That's your wireless local area network card. You have your primary memory module. This is the one that'd be populated from the factory. You have your RTC battery. And I think that's really it underneath the keyboard.
So to gain access to all the components here, it's a door for the memory and the WAN, a screw for the hard drive. It's tool free on the optical, so you eject the optical. Then you have to pull the keyboard to get to your Wi-Fi card. So a little more complicated to do some maintenance on this one here. And then on the Dell, you know.
So I've removed the bezel around the keyboard. There are now 4 screws along the bottom that you take out to take the keyboard out. It basically comes out very simply. After those screws come out, you pull it out and then you release the cables.
And just for your reference, I'll pull the keyboard off of the HP as well. There are some marked screws on the bottom of the chassis to show you which screws you need to pull to get to the keyboard. Forgive me guys, it's been a while since I've actually done one of these. Is it just the 2 screws on this one? That's the keyboard as well?
Oh, the keyboard.
Yeah, just the keyboard.
I think so.
3 screws, pull the HP keyboard off, and then it's a ribbon cable, just like the other one here. Two ribbon cables, one for the keyboard, one for the touchpad. Yes.
I noticed this, I tore this apart yesterday. These screws are very difficult to get out, so I'm starting to strip this one, so give me a few moments here.
We could break it.